Well, if you got that person in your relationship that is always trying to make a joke out of everything, some experts in the world of romance are saying that might be a bad thing because maybe they're hiding behind their humor to avoid serious talks that can make you feel a little bit dismissed and things. That's one of the pieces of advice, as they say, that are bad relationship habits that therapists are begging you to break. They say hiding behind humor to avoid serious talks can make your partner feel dismissed. There is a time and a place for humor in relationships, and a lot of times people love it when somebody is funny. But if they're always funny, they said, for instance, if I know you hate the show Friends, but they said Chandler was one of those people. Anytime you try to talk to him about something serious, he would always deflect and make a joke out of it. And you could never cut through to be like, no, I got a serious problem. Like, you need to hear me right now. And they can't. Be like, hear you, huh? What'd you say?
Yeah, Chandler, undateable.
You think so?
Absolutely.
Okay. For that reason or just because you hate Friends?
I see what they're saying about his personality, though. Yeah, you can't keep it real with the guy.
Right.
He was always dodging any kind of real convo.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
They said replacing date nights with TV could be a problem. And I got to tell you, there are many nights where my wife and I, the queen, we're like, hey, you know what? Let's just stay home, watch TV, call it good.
It's
easy.
a hell of a lot cheaper when you got $18 margaritas out there.
It is. But they say what happens sometimes is you just become too boring and predictable. That you do sometimes need to say, yeah, you know what? It'd be a lot easier to lay here and a lot cheaper, but sometimes you need to mix in a new experience. It doesn't mean it has to be an expensive experience, but you need to get out of the house. And if you get into a rut of we always just put on a movie and lay in bed or something like that, do something a little bit different because you'll one day be like, this has become very routine for me.
You could so easily go to the beach and take a sunset walk.
Right.
And that is very affordable because you bring your own margarita to the beach, just like I do.
Amen, sister.
Way more affordable than those $18 margaritas at the bar.
That's right.
Ugh.
Another one they say is venting to friends instead of your partner. Now, I know sometimes you got to blow off steam and you're frustrated, but they say what happens is you're just delaying real solutions. Yeah, you may feel a little bit better by venting to your friends, but you haven't done anything to correct the problem of why you're upset in the first place. If you would sit them down and be like, hey, here's something that I've got a little bit of an issue with. They'd be like, oh, okay, I had no idea you felt that way. And they can actually correct the problem that's in your relationship. Venting does nothing but just kick the can down the road, and then it gets worse every time.
And if you start with, hey, this is how this makes me feel, like I'm feeling this, instead of like, you're doing this.
Right.
Make it about, I'm feeling this.
Mm-hmm. They say also watch out for keeping score. A lot of people in relationships do that. If they've done something nice for you, you're like, okay, I got one in the positive column. They've done something that annoyed me. They didn't do the dishes. They've got one in the negative column. And you've got a running scorecard in your head.
Good luck trying to tell a woman in her head to stop keeping score. That's like saying, stop breathing.
They say what you need to do is you got to say what you need to say in that moment when it's upsetting to you, and then you got to let it go. You can't keep the score going on. Now, look, if it's a continual problem, you bring it up every time. Be like, how many times have I had to talk to you about this?
But you need to also evaluate in your head that these things that are making you upset, are they worth bringing up, or are they not that big of a deal,
right,
and you're just
true.
being bitchy?
No, you're right.
Because that happens a lot. In my head, I can hear myself like grumbling under my breath because somebody left Cheeto wrappers everywhere and somebody left a Coke can or a Pepsi can out.
Yeah.
And I grumble under my breath, and then I have to remind myself, okay, is this worth making a big deal about, or should you just suck it up, grab the Pepsi can, and throw it in the trash?
Right.
And that is the right move. Suck it up, throw it in the trash. Everything shouldn't be a battle.
But if they keep throwing these stuff all around the house, don't you find yourself each time they do, you get more annoyed? And if you would just address it and be like, hey, how about I talk to you about you're just throwing your garbage all over the house?
Well, what if you have addressed it? Nobody's making changes. Sometimes you got to be happy. Being happy is more important than being right. About little things. These are little things. I choose to pick my battles, and I'm not going to get bent about the Pepsi can.
Okay.
But I am going to get bent about maybe some public disrespect or something on a higher level.
So you're saying that if somebody has a flaw, you address it and they can't correct the flaw. You just have to learn to accept that as a flaw that they have.
If it is minimal, you have to score these flaws and these mistakes
On how serious it is.
because all men are going to disappoint you. It's just a matter.
There's a life lesson, young ladies. All men are going to disappoint you.
But
Get used to it.
it's just a matter of how big of a disappointment is he.
Okay.
If he's only doing like little offenses, like score 1 or score 2 offenses,
Yep.
I may need to suck those up instead of making those World War III. But if he's doing like score 5, score
Right.
6,
Yeah.
score 7 offenses,
You're
okay,
more persistent with that.
those are going to be addressed in the moment as they are happening. But I don't want to make everything a battle in my house because sometimes it's better to be happy than to be right.
Okay. Picking your battles. And another bad relationship habit that therapists are saying you need to break is assuming your partner's preferences without asking them.
Oh, that's a good one.
Have you ever seen where somebody be like, yeah, and he's going to take this because that's what he likes, or he's going to do that, or he's going to do this? And you're like, maybe I didn't want that.
It's demasculating.
Right.
I've seen women do that to their husband.
I have too.
And
it's very uncomfortable.
super uncomfortable.
Because you're looking at him and be like, you can't speak for yourself? Like, what are you, a kid?
And look at your watch. You can pretty much clock the divorce is coming.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen that. They say, yeah, do not do that because it leaves that person feeling unheard. And in that moment, they may not want that.
And you're embarrassing them if it's
Right.
in public.
Yeah.
Public humiliation is a big thing for me. Don't embarrass me in public or make me look stupid in public because I will be pissed.
I think sometimes it's a weird flex that I've seen women do more. It's almost like they're bragging to show you how much and how well they know their man.
I wear the pants too.
Yeah,
That's
it is.
what they want to.
It's a control thing in the relationship, and you see what it does. It demasculates them. They're feeling left unheard, and then you're just like boastful to your friends. Be like, yeah, I got them wrapped around my finger.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
He's actually going to sleep with his secretary because you have pushed him into her arms because she's nice to him and you're not.
Absolutely. There you go. Lessons learned. But the biggest lesson is, young ladies, men will always disappoint you.
They
Remember
will
that.
always disappoint you.
Every time.